What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are going to continue our coverage over X-Force, and now we pick up with X-Force, but in the Destiny of X era of X-Men comics. Of course, this takes place right before the fall of X. Now, with that being said, this storyline right here is going to lead the X-Force team into the big old Judgment Day event that we might cover on this channel, where of course it was a crossover between the X-Men, the Avengers, and also the Eternals. Now, with that being said, though, when it comes to storyline right here, it does pick up right after X lives and deaths of Wolverine. And you see what I mean as we go through this book, because that event right there, that 10-part storyline that involved Wolverine and Omega Red, it apparently had affected Cerebro. And with that happening, Cerebro has changed into something evil that's right now going to cause a lot of problems with the island, but on top of that, kill off a key member of the X-Force team. And we pick up with the Quiet Council, who are the government body for the mutant nation, but they are calling for a meeting with Beast. Beast being the person in charge of the X-Force operation. This meeting is all about the idea of bringing Omega Red back to life. This is another thing coming out of previous stories, but mainly X lives and deaths of Wolverine. And what I mean is that when Omega Red came to the island, he said he was trying to be good. But that was a lie, because he was helping Dracula get Wolverine, except then he has switched sides to help X-Force get rid of Dracula. Except he was used by X-Force in a way without permission to get rid of Dracula. Once he had found out that he was betrayed by X-Force, he then betrayed X-Force again for Mikkel, the brother of Colossus, and was killed by Wolverine in that storyline. And so the question is to bring him back to life or not? Except Beast left out the idea that the reason why Omega Red betrayed X-Force the second time was because of Beast and Wolverine. And so to him, no, he should not come back. But then Sage walks in and says, listen, can I speak at this meeting? Because I feel like we should bring Omega Red back to life. And when it comes to Sage, she's actually on the side of Omega Red. And by this point, X-Force Comics, we can see that Beast and her are definitely not on the same side. And the reason why, because it's Sage saying right now to the Quiet Council that Omega Red does deserve the chance to come back to life once again. And the reason why, because Beast is lying to the Quiet Council. The reason why you technically had Omega Red go crazy and betray the team the second time is because of Beast and because of Wolverine. Because when it came to Dracula, Omega Red realized that he was on the wrong side. He wanted to help X-Force out, but instead of trusting him, we technically killed him off, brought him back to life, and used him in a way to help us get rid of Dracula, but did not tell him anything at all. And so he felt used, and technically he hated that so much. And so that's why he had joined Mikkel. And so honestly, I feel like if we're able to bring him back to life, but give him some kind of offering to say, let's have peace between you and us, he might actually be a good guy and a good person for the island. Now, Beast hates this a lot because right now he's not in control like he wants to. But on top of that, he feels like Omega Red is someone who should not be brought back to life at all. Like technically, he should be left dead to protect the island. But at the same time, Sage saying that's not fair. It's your fault. It's your fault the why he turned the way he did. And so now we're going to give him a chance to be the good person we all can believe he could be. But then we pick up with Forge. Now, right now you have Forge checking up on Cerebro, or one of the Cerebro helmets. Now, let me explain, because at this point in Marvel Comics, Cerebro is technically different than it was in the past. And what I mean by that is, when it comes to Cerebro, it's actually used by the mutant nation as a way to store memories of every single mutant in the entire race. And the reason why, because if a mutant does die, die and the 5 is able to bring that mutant back to life, they have to be able to actually download the memories of that mutant into a new clone body. And that is where Cerebro comes in, because Cerebro does store all the different kinds of memories a person might have. Here's the thing though, because when it came to Sage, she realized that one, the helmets did go offline. And when you had Forge go to the location where the helmet should be at, the helmet is not there. And matter of fact, something else comes behind Forge with tentacles and grabs him. And we're left to wonder what in the world is going on with Cerebro, because technically we know it had to be Cerebro that had just grabbed Forge. But then we jump over to X-Force. Now when we do, this is actually X-Force right now talking about the idea of bringing Omega Red back to life, because it all comes down to them, meaning that if most of them agree to bring him back to life, of course they'll tell the 5, hey listen, at our entire team, at least more than half has said bring him back to life, so go ahead. And right now you're kind of seeing that, because you do have Sage, Domino, also you have Kid Omega kind of saying yes to this. And so right now it's only Wolverine and Beast who is saying no, but at the same time it's Wolverine right now kind of being really more of a maybe. He's like yes, but at the same time he's more of no. And so right now it's really just Beast who's right now left alone in the no category. And so of course with most of the team saying yes and Wolverine being a half vote right now, technically they have more yes than no. And so right now they can tell the Quiet Council and also the 5, we have decided to bring Omega Red back to life. But then we pick up with Black Tom. Now, when it comes to Black Tom, he does have the ability to actually connect to the ground, to the earth, or really more of like wood, dirt, all those different kind of things. And so with that connection, he does have a way to actually communicate with the island. Now, here's the thing though, the island is right now telling him what is actually absorbing water, other kind of nutrients. But here's the thing though, the island begins to tell Black Tom is absorbing blood. And when it comes to Tom, he's wondering, why in the world are you absorbing blood? You should not be absorbing blood at all. And so of course he begins to follow a trail, and when he does, he finds Forge. But here comes the problem though, because right now on Forge's head you have Cerebro, and it seems like right now Cerebro is absorbing Forge's mind and also abilities, and that right there is going to be very important down the road. And you see what I mean, because right now it's Black Tom realizing that Cerebro has gone crazy and he has to get the heck out of there. Then we get this one page that truly reminds us that Abigail Brand and Beast actually dated at one point in X-Men comics. Now, of course, they're no longer dating, but they still have feelings for one another. And right now, you have Beast and her just meeting up on Racco. And this right here is really more saying, like, even though Beast has grown darker and kind of scarier, that when it comes to Abigail Brand, she still looks at Beast as the nice teddy bear kind of person. Even though he does have scars, he's still that big teddy bear that she kind of loves. And so right now it seems like the two characters are able to come to one another if they need each other to actually talk about different kind of things. And right now for Beast, it seems like it's him right now kind of scared the idea of bringing Omega Red back to life. But then we actually do pick up with the moment where you do have X-Force right now bringing Omega Red back to life. Now this is actually very huge, because when he does come back to life, the big question is right now, is he going to be good or is he going to be bad? And is he going to try to kill someone because of what X-Force actually did to him? And once he's brought back to life, he ignores Wolverine, Charles Xavier, Jean Grey, all of them. He goes after one particular person, and that would be Beast, because Beast was the one who technically used him in a way without his permission. And so right now it's Omega Red saying, I want to kill him. Now Colossus is able to calm him down. At the same time, you do have Sage say, listen, I did some upgrades to your newer body. And so technically right now, you should be able to thank us, but at the same time, let's call this a peaceful treaty and just leave Beast alone for the time being. And so of course, you have Omega Red walk away without killing Beast. But that is the moment where you have Beast tell the rest of the team that Black Tom is calling out for help. And so of course, you have X-Force say, let's go find Black Tom and see why in the world he's calling for help now. And that is the moment where we actually do pick up right now with X-Force finding Black Tom, and luckily he is okay. But the problem is though, you have Black Tom tell X-Force something is wrong with Cerebro. Like right now, it's technically acting different, way more different than it used to in the past. And so of course you have X-Force wondering what in the world is he talking about, except you have Wolverine find the dead body of Forge. The problem is though, Forge is missing his head. And so right now you have X-Force say, okay, we got a huge problem. We have to find Cerebro now and hopefully stop it. And so then we get into X-Force number 28. Now, when we do, this is the moment where we actually begin the process of seeing Cerebro go a tad bit more crazy in the storyline, because you do have Cerebro right now talk to a hologram of Forge. Now, when it comes to this hologram, it's right now Cerebro telling us that it's hungry for information. And that makes sense because when it comes to Cerebro, it was made to actually store information. So it would make sense that it would be hungry for information. And so right now it wants to absorb more people. Now, here's the thing, because it did eat the brains of Forge, it also gained Forge ability as well. And so right now, Cerebro is able to build anything it wants to build, because that is Forge ability. He's technically the Iron Man of the X-Men comics. Either way, it's now Cerebro saying, I'm hungry for more information, but at the same time, I want to build. And so now is going to go out of its way to find more mutants to absorb their powers, but to help build something it wants to actually build. But then we pick up with Dr. Reyes, Beast, and Sage. Now, when it comes to this meeting, it's really more about the idea that now you have the three characters wondering what in the world is going on with Cerebro. Now, here's the thing though. You have Sage say that when it comes to Cerebro, it seems like right now it wants to grab more information about mutants across the board. But the reason why it's acting like this is because what happened in X Lives and Deaths of Wolverine. That technically, because Jean Grey and Charles Xavier used Cerebro as a way to send Wolverine's mind back in time, it could have did something to the actual system, made it more aware and wanted to have more information to absorb. And so that could be why it's technically going crazy right now. Now, as she is saying that, you do have Cerebro right now going around grabbing different mutants and of course killing them off left and right. But then we jump over to Kid Omega and also Silver Samurai, who are right now using the Crucible Arena as a way to fight against one another. Now on your screen, you're technically seeing the Juggernaut, but it's not actually the Juggernaut. See, what Kid Omega is doing right now is technically being able to make psychic constructs as a way to fight against Silver Samurai in the Crucible. Now, the reason why he is doing that is to keep his mind off Phoebe. And remember, Phoebe is one of the Stepford Cuckoos that had just dumped the guy a couple books ago. And so right now it's him trying to use the Crucible as a way to kind of take his mind off things. Now, when it comes to Silver Samurai, he hates the idea of using this arena for that purpose, because when it comes to the Crucible Arena, it's supposed to be used to help mutants who have lost their powers thanks to House of M, and of course killed them off so that they're able to come back to life as a mutant. Now that is the moment where you do have Wolverine find the real Kid Omega and tell Kid Omega, hey, this is what's happening right now, and we need all hands on deck. Now here's the thing though, because when it comes to Kid Omega, he's very more concerned about the idea of what could happen to the island, but also to other people around him. And so of course you have Wolverine tell Kid Omega, listen, right now Cerebro is going around killing off mutants left and right, but we also believe that it's right now absorbing other people's powers once they're killed off by Cerebro. Now for Kid Omega, that could be a huge problem, because when it comes to Kid Omega, he is an Omega level mutant. And so if Cerebro actually able to grab him and then absorb him, Cerebro could be a very powerful force on the island and most likely could take out almost everyone on the island. And so right now is him saying, I'm very concerned about this, and he begins to freak out. But then we actually pick up with Omega Red. Now Omega Red just wants to be left alone. Like, yes, he's happy about the idea of being brought back to life, but at the same time he still hates X-Force. Now you do have Sage actually confront him. Now she is kind of upset with him right now because he's still killing things. Like, yes, he's killing animals, not actual people, but at the same time she's kind of like, you don't have to kill anymore. This island right now produces enough food for everyone. But when it comes to Omega Red, he's kind of like, listen, I used to kill my entire life, and so I enjoy this. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to kill anybody, but this is how I relax. Now, this is her right now trying to tell Omega Red that she somewhat understands what he has gone through in his life. That technically right now, she could be someone that he could talk to if he wants to. Now, she does share her life story, and when it comes to Omega Red, he's kind of wondering why in the world she's doing that, but it's her right now trying to open up to him, to build a connection. And I kind of like this because it gives Omega Red finally someone to be close to once again. And so right now, this could be Sage and Omega Red possibly dating one another. Now she does walk away, but she also tells him the reason why she told him her life story is because sooner or later he might have to rejoin X-Force to actually help out. And so then we pick up with Wolverine and Domino. Now when we do, it's Wolverine and Domino right now just trying to find any clues that could help them figure out where in the world Cerebro could most likely be at. Now this is also Wolverine kind of giving Domino an update on Cerebro, but at the same time wondering, where in the world is Kid Omega? And apparently Kid Omega just dipped out. And the reason why, because he was so scared of this whole situation that he had to go somewhere else and handle other kinds of business. Now, once you have Wolverine and also Domino find the cave that Cerebro has been working out of, they do find more dead bodies, but some kind of device that Cerebro is currently working on, thanks to the idea of him absorbing Forge and having the ability to build anything it wants to actually build. Now we do kind of find out that when he came to Kid Omega, he went to find Phoebe because he's very worried about the idea of Cerebro coming after Phoebe or any other powerful psychic on the island. Now, this is him right now trying to warn her, wanting to protect her. Now, even though they did break up and he still cares for her, they did agree to technically stay away from one another. Unfortunately though, he's not doing that right now. And so of course she does ignore his warnings, but on top of that though, she feels like he's now a stalker. Now with that being said, they all do leave, the entire Cuckoos sisters, but when they do leave, they do call him a stalker. And that right there kind of hurts his feelings, but at the same time though, he's kind of like, y'all don't realize that something big is happening right now on the island and you are ignoring me because you feel like it's me right now not wanting to move on. But in reality, it's me right now trying to protect you. But then we jump over to Wolverine and Domino, where they are actually confronted by Cerebro and Cerebro's cave. Now here's the thing though, because when it comes to Cerebro, it did go around and absorb other mutants' minds to basically absorb their powers as well. And so with that, Cerebro right now is technically a walking tank, being able to use the different powers of mutants that it was able to actually absorb. Now with that being said though, you do have Cerebro right now say its name is no longer Cerebro, that now it is actually Cerebrax. Honestly, stupid name. Either way though, you do have Cerebrax right now try to use the different powers that it was able to absorb from other mutants. So for example, Polaris. And with the powers of Polaris, it was able to grab Wolverine and play with the metal inside Wolverine's body to basically take him out of the battle temporarily. Now with that being said, luckily for our heroes, Domino's mutant ability kicks in, the power of luck, where she was able to get some damage on Cerebrax, but of course it got away. And now for Wolverine and Domino, they realize that if Cerebrax is able to get more mutants or a particular powerful one, it's completely over for the entire island. And so right now you have Wolverine and Domino say, we have to stop it very soon, because right now we could have our own technically Ultron right here. And so then we jump into X-Force number 29. Now when we do, we actually do pick up right now with Cerebrax going after Black Tom. Now Kid Omega is coming back into the battle, but he also does see technically right now Cerebrax going after Black Tom. Now when it comes to Cerebrax going after Black Tom, this is a problem, because when it comes to Black Tom, he controls the ground, he controls the island if he wanted to. And so right now, technically, when it comes to Cerebrax, once it's able to actually absorb the powers of Black Tom, it'll then have the ability to control the actual island. And that right there can be a huge problem for the X-Men and X-Force. And so right now it's kind of like they have to hurry and prevent this from actually happening. Now you do have Domino try her best to hurry up and to hopefully find Cerebrax and to hopefully stop it. But while she's on her way to hopefully find Cerebrax, she does call up Sage and tell Sage, you need to hide all the mutants who are basically psychics on the island. And the reason why, because if Cerebrax is able to get its hands on a mutant that is technically a psychic, it can wipe out the entire race just like that, or really the entire world just like that. And so we need you right now to tell everyone who is a psychic to technically hide, like right now. Now here's the thing though, because right after Sage does agree to do that, well, that is the moment she is confronted by no other than Omega Red. And Omega Red's all like, hey, I believe you might need my help with this situation. And this really leads us into the final battle of the storyline. And what I mean by that is, you do have the Stepford Cuckoos right now on their way to a secret party, even though Sage had told Jean Grey to tell all the psychics to hide. The girls are kind of like, nah, let's go out and party, let's have a good old time. But the problem is though, they are confronted by Cerebrax that's now using the powers of Black Tom to technically use the island against the mutants right now. And so you have a Krakoa Cerebrax right now about to actually attack the Stepford Cuckoos. Now, of course, it only grabs one of them, and it grabs Phoebe. And so this leads into the entire X-Force team coming here to save her life, especially Kid Omega, her ex-boyfriend. Now, you also have Omega Red there as well, and this kind of says that Omega Red has rejoined the X-Force team, and honestly, pretty cool to see him here right now. But here's the problem though, because right now Sage is trying to upload a virus into Cerebrax to basically shut it down, because it is a computer technically. But the problem is though, she's right now having a hard time actually accessing the actual hardware of Cerebro or Cerebrax. And that is where Kid Omega comes in. With his abilities, he was able to technically just crash right into the body of Cerebrax and kind of give Sage the ability to access the actual hard drive of Cerebrax to upload the virus, and bam, Cerebrax was defeated. But here comes the big problem though, because it was a huge explosion and Kid Omega was inside the body of Cerebrax. And here comes the problem with that, because even though you have Wolverine right now kind of like, listen, yes, Cerebrax blew up, yes, Kid Omega was inside Cerebrax, but hey, look on the bright side, we have the 5. they should be able to actually bring him back to life. But the problem is, though, you have Sage say, we can't do it. Because when it comes to Cerebro or Cerebrax, it was holding all the backup files of every single mutant in the mutant race. But when it comes to Kid Omega, that file was erased. And so without that file, we're unable to actually bring him back to life. And so it's kind of like a way of saying this could be a permanent death for Kid Omega, even though we know it's not going to be. But at the same time, though, it's kind of like Kid Omega's dead. And right now, they might not have a way to actually bring him back to life. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.